In the annals of maritime mysteries, perhaps none has captured the imagination quite like the tale of the Mary Celeste. On December 5th, 1872, approximately 400 miles east of the Azores, the crew of the Dei Gratia spotted a ship moving erratically in the distance. As they drew closer, they realized something was terribly wrong. The vessel was the Mary Celeste, and she was completely abandoned. What makes this case particularly haunting is not just the disappearance of her entire crew, but the peculiar state in which the ship was found. The Mary Celeste wasn't a wreck, nor was she damaged. She was, for all intents and purposes, seaworthy. Her cargo was largely intact, and her supplies were abundant. It was as if her crew had vanished into thin air, leaving behind an eerie floating tomb of questions. Let's step back a few weeks before this discovery. On November 7th, 1872, the Mary Celeste departed from New York Harbor. Her destination was Genoa, Italy, and in her hold she carried 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. The crew consisted of Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 7 experienced crew members. By all accounts, they were well provisioned for their journey across the Atlantic. Captain Briggs was no amateur seaman. At 37 years old, he was a respected mariner, with a reputation for abstaining from alcohol and maintaining strict discipline aboard his vessels. He had invested his life savings, $10,000, into his share of the Mary Celeste, making him part owner. This was not a man who would abandon his ship without extraordinary cause. The last official sighting of the Mary Celeste with her crew aboard was on November 25th, when she was spotted by another vessel near the Azores. 9 days later, she would be found deserted. What happened in those 9 days has become one of the most enduring maritime mysteries in history. When the crew of the Dei Gratia boarded the Mary Celeste, they found an eerily orderly scene. The ship's papers were missing, along with the navigation equipment, but a 6-month supply of food and water remained untouched. In the captain's cabin, personal belongings were undisturbed. Sarah Briggs's harmonium still sat in place, and their beds appeared to have been slept in. A child's toy sewing machine lay on the deck, a poignant reminder of little Sophia's presence. One of the most puzzling aspects was the state of the cargo. Of the 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, 9 were empty. However, they hadn't leaked their contents into the bilges. The barrels appeared to have been deliberately emptied. In the galley, unwashed dishes suggested a meal interrupted. A pot of coffee was still warm on the stove, according to some accounts, though this detail has been disputed by historians. The ship's log, found in the mate's cabin, had its last entry dated November 25th. It recorded nothing unusual, just routine notations about weather conditions and sailing coordinates. The slate used for navigational calculations still had numbers written on it, suggesting the crew had been actively managing the ship's course until shortly before their disappearance. 2 of the ship's pumps had been disassembled, and there was about 3.5 feet of water in the hold, not an alarming amount for a vessel of that size, but enough to warrant attention. One of the ship's boats was missing, though the evidence suggested it had been launched deliberately rather than in panic. The rope securing it had been properly untied, not cut. The sails themselves told an interesting story. Some were still set, while others had been taken down and properly stowed. The mainsail was partially furled, and the mizzen sail was blown out. This configuration suggested the crew had been in the process of reducing sail, perhaps in response to challenging weather conditions. What makes this case particularly fascinating is the complete lack of signs of violence or struggle. There were no bloodstains, no signs of combat, no indication of piracy or foul play. The valuable cargo was untouched, and the crew's personal belongings, including money and jewelry, remained in their cabins. Over the years, numerous theories have been proposed to explain the crew's disappearance. Some suggested that the industrial alcohol vapors from the cargo might have caused an explosion scare, prompting the crew to abandon ship temporarily. Others proposed that a seaquake or waterspout might have frightened them into leaving. More fantastic theories involved sea monsters, alien abductions, and supernatural phenomena. One of the more plausible explanations involves a combination of factors. The disassembled pumps and water in the hold suggest the crew was dealing with some water ingress. The sail configuration indicates they encountered rough weather. Perhaps they feared the cargo of alcohol had become unstable, and when combined with the water in the hold and adverse weather conditions, they made the decision to temporarily abandon ship. The fact that the lifeboat was launched in an orderly fashion suggests they may have intended to follow the ship at a safe distance until conditions improved. However, if the weather then worsened, they could have lost sight of the Mary Celeste and perished at sea. This would explain why no trace of them was ever found. Another theory focuses on the 9 empty barrels of alcohol. Some researchers suggest that these barrels might have been made of red oak rather than white oak. Red oak is more porous and could have allowed alcohol vapors to escape. These vapors, trapped in the hold, might have caused a small explosion or fire that left no visible damage, but terrified the crew into abandoning ship. The aftermath of the Mary Celeste discovery sparked its own fascinating story. The Dei Gratia's crew claimed salvage rights, leading to a lengthy Admiralty hearing in Gibraltar. The proceedings were marked by suspicion, with some suggesting the Dei Gratia's crew might have been involved in foul play. Eventually, they were awarded a salvage payment, but it was far less than the customary amount, suggesting the authorities harbored some doubts about the circumstances. The Mary Celeste continued to sail under different owners for another 12 years before being deliberately wrecked off Haiti in an insurance fraud scheme. This inglorious end seemed fitting for a vessel whose name had become synonymous with mystery and abandonment. The case of the Mary Celeste has inspired countless books, articles, and dramatic interpretations. Even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, writing under a pseudonym, published a fictional account of the mystery early in his career. His story, though largely fabricated, helped cement the Mary Celeste's place in maritime folklore. Perhaps what makes this mystery so enduring is its peculiar combination of the ordinary and the inexplicable. The physical evidence suggests nothing more dramatic than a crew making rational decisions in response to perceived danger. Yet the complete disappearance of 10 people, including a small child, without leaving any trace or explanation, hints at something more sinister or supernatural. In the end, the Mary Celeste stands as a reminder that even in our modern world of GPS tracking and satellite communications, the sea remains capable of keeping its secrets. The fate of Captain Briggs, his family, and his crew continues to intrigue us, not just because of what we know, but because of what we don't know, and perhaps never will. Today, the Mary Celeste serves as more than just a maritime mystery. It's become a metaphor for inexplicable disappearances and abandoned vessels. The term Mary Celeste is often used to describe any situation where people seem to have vanished suddenly and without explanation, leaving behind an eerily undisturbed scene. As we approach the 150th anniversary of this mysterious event, new researchers continue to examine the evidence, propose theories, and search historical records for clues. While we may never know the true fate of those aboard the Mary Celeste, their story remains a testament to the enduring power of maritime mysteries to capture our imagination and remind us of the vast, unknowable nature of the sea.